Welcome to the Song of Ice and Fire web-based simulator. Basically created this to make it a user-friendly way to play with your friends remotely. If you're like me, you live in the middle of nowhere and it's kind of hard to get a game in at times. So the website is ASOIAF-sim.com. That's ASOIAF-sim.com. Currently we have a US and a EU server set up to help for latency depending on where you're at. So I'm going to just go ahead and type in anything here. If there hasn't been a room created, when you type it in, it'll go ahead and create it. Otherwise, you'll join. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just pick something really long. You might notice the initial load time is a little bit long. That's just because it's loading the assets. After you refresh it, should take a lot less time because your browser will have most of that cached. Okay, so as you can see here, there's another player's mouse set up. One of the first things you can do is you can set your name. So this other player will just go ahead and set their name at something simple. Me, I've already set up my name, so we'll just go ahead and forget that for now. There's a lot of options in here. I try to make everything point and click with a mouse, but in this case, there are some key bindings, so you will need a keyboard and mouse. You might be able to play on an iPad with a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. I know they have that functionality built in, but I have not tested that. It's going to be best played on a 16:9 aspect ratio, so 1920 by 1080. Desktop, laptop, Chromebook, whatever works best for you. So one of the first key bindings I wanted to show was the fact that there's a built-in measuring system with your mouse. You just hold down the T key and then drag your mouse to measure. This should be based in inches, so basically I meticulously mapped out this grid and kept it the ratio to what would be inches in real life. So you can see here from the other player's perspective, they can actually do it too. And then, so the next thing that we have is the grid. So you can toggle the grid to be able to place your objects in the battle map to the specific inch ratio. So again, this should be a 4 foot by 4 foot battle map essentially. There's also different battle maps that you can pick from. Of all of them, I think this is probably my favorite. I think it looks kind of the coolest. So that's the battle map. This is only per you, so if you change the battle map, they're going to have their own version, so they won't see that. I figured just let people pick what they want to pick. Next we have the objectives deck, which you can see here. So I went ahead and drew some objectives. Anytime you see this little eye icon, you can expand it to view it, and then here we go. Now I can see the objective if we wanted to reveal it. The next thing we have is we can add units into the game. So let's go ahead and just put some Lannister guardsmen in here. It may take a little while to load. So let's see here. All right, so we got some Lannister guardsmen. Let me go ahead and change my army color here to red. So that would, because can't play as yellow if I'm Lannister. So we can add units into the game. We can also select a unit and we can add an attachment to them. In this case, we have our assault veteran. So we can, again, expand these images to get a better view. Then the units themselves have built-in measuring. So we have the movement. So if you zoom in with the scroll wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in and you can see the inches for, well, you can see the short range distance, you can see the long range firing distance. Again, this is from this point of arc here. That's 6 inches, and that would be 12 inches. You have the short range kind of zone, something within short range abilities, for example, might trigger off that. And then you have the long range. You have some sidelines. So like, let's say you're wanting to cover your flank with another unit. That might help you make sure that you're going to get enough coverage there. And then there's movement built in here with these arrow keys. So you can get perfect movement to the left, to the right, and zigzagging around. There's also built-in history for tray objects, so any kind of tray objects here. So you can see I can actually reset my position here, and I can also go forward. And these are the R key binding goes in reverse, and then the F key binding goes forward. In this case, you can also do these buttons over here as well. And in addition to that, there are some key bindings for moving. So you can hold down the WASD to move forward, backwards, left, and right. And you can also hold down the Q key and the R key to rotate. Now, while you're moving at all, if you hold down the shift key, it'll speed that process up. So if you really wanted to book it, you know, like let's say, okay, there we go. We moved our 6 inches. On top of that, there's a right-click menu for just about everything that's movable in the simulator here. So in this case, I can just go ahead and right-click the unit and then add wounds to it. I can add tokens to it, and you know, do all kinds of stuff. I can even delete the unit. I won't do that now because I still want to demo. But we also have some control built into the cards here. Again, just trying to make things easy. So if you happen to be in the card and you're like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and toggle these abilities. We just have 2 generic abilities tabs here, just depending on if you have an ability, which in this case they do have 1, so you would just use that one. You can also delete a unit. Again, there's tons of ways to do things here. So I can either select on the unit here and click delete to delete that way. Oh, whoops, that's the reset objectives thing. I meant to click on this, Lannister Guardsman, or I can come over here and I can take away wounds this way, or I can delete it this way. Again, we can look at our attachment here, and if you hover over it, it kind of shows you where's your attachment at. You can change the position the attachment is sitting in. Okay. And then, let me see here, make sure. Okay, just good, just making sure. Again, there's some built-in tokens on the attachment themselves, because sometimes the attachments will have orders, so you can just do all that there. Outside of that, we have the NCUs, so we can add NCUs into the game. Pretty straightforward. So here's our NCU. Where did his card? Oh, it was loading in. Okay. Again, because of the size of the cards, I had to generate these myself because CMON doesn't provide them in the app. They build them dynamically, so I had to build a card generator for this. So I will have to do some optimization to try to make these images load a little bit more efficiently in the future. But for now, it should work. You just sometimes you got to be patient. So in this case, we have our NCU, and we can put them on the objective zones here. Let's go ahead and keep some of these on there. So that's the NCUs. Outside of that, we have the info panel. So the info panel just gives you kind of, again, some of the key bindings here, a little bit of details, some links that you can reach me at, including the, you know, supporting resources like the rule book. I'm going to set up a Patreon only because the server costs for supporting 2 servers is a little bit. I can support it for a while, but hopefully, you know, just if those who can like the project enough, maybe throw me a few bucks, you know, to help kind of offset some of those costs. Outside of that, we do have a simulator log. So most of the important actions, up to the last 400 actions, are recorded in the server log. So if you're not 100% sure what was going on, you can go back and look at that. Outside of that, we also have game modes. So in this case, let's say I had a game mode, and I wanted, you know, just the regular Game of Thrones game mode. I would just set that here, and then it puts the objective markers in. Now, we numbered the objective markers primarily for these here, so if I wanted to link, oh, it's already revealed, so we would go ahead and link it to objective 1, we would link it to objective 2, and I could draw some more here. Oh, whoops, they're all right here. Let's go 3, we'll go 4. Did I get all of them? Okay, and then we'll go 5. All right, so now when you hover over them, it shows you in game. So you could even just kind of keep these off to the side, kind of stacked on each other, you know, or you know, when it comes time to reveal, you can reveal them like this. So, and then they'll be available to just look at here. So by default, when you use this option and to set up the objectives and terrains and whatnot for and this is set up for the current game modes. Hopefully we'll keep those updated in the future. But you can also manually add all these just through the game objects menu here. You can pretty much find all the terrain you could want. There's also the House of the Undying and the Water Gardens tactics boards options there. Just about everything that you need to be able to play the game, depending on your faction too. So we should have pillaged token. So what did I do? Oh yeah, so here we go. This kind of all just comes in on the same point here. So again, going back to what I was saying before, there's also a rotate option here. Again, I can use the QEWASD to move them around, but I can also rotate them using this option here. Otherwise, you can also just drag them. In addition to that, so these come in locked, and so if you click on that, you can actually see there's an unlock button that pops up. So I can unlock them or lock them using this unlock button, and now it's not movable while it's locked. But if I wanted to unlock them, hold on, did that not work? Okay. Oh, no, that worked, okay. Okay, maybe I just needed, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to check into that. But either way, you can always do right-click context menu to unlock. I'm gonna write that down. All right. So even if this for some reason is not doing it, it looks like it's working to lock it, but it's not working to unlock it. So okay, I'll have to double check into that. Easy to fix though. Okay, because you can just like again right-click context menu. For some reason, if you have like, I mean, I guess you probably won't have overlapping terrain, but you can move it up within the zone too. So there's a few options. So you can just delete it using that option, or select this and click delete. Oh, I just clicked the reset objectives thing. I meant to click on this. So yeah, be careful. Don't do what I just did. Actually read. Okay, outside of that, we have languages. So in this case, we have French, we have German, and we have English. Now, this only applies for future cards. This only applies to cards. So any of the cards that get imported into the game, I've generated the different French and German versions as well. So just keep that in mind. So if you want to reload the cards that you currently have, you'd have to refresh the screen too. Okay, got the game modes. We got names, so you can select your names. You can select your colors. There's also a save option. So if I wanted to, actually, let's go ahead and save. That's a good idea. So let's go ahead and say things are shutting down for the night. Um, you know, you're like tired, and the thing is, the server doesn't keep your. If you're not active on the server for at least 30 minutes, both you and your other player, then the game will be destroyed. Just again to keep resources cleaned up. So if in that case you probably want to go ahead and save your game. So in this case, what I would do is I would, well, I already saved it, so it should be in my clipboard, and then I can re-import it. Okay. So I will be player one, and then boom, it just resets me right back to exactly where I was. You know, so that's good if you again are playing late and you want to be able to jump back in. On top of that too, I have an import feature for lists. So in this case, you can take the export text from the War Cancel app that Simon provides, and in this case, that's what we have here. There's also the Song of Ice and Fire stats website, TTS Export, has an export feature that copies to clipboard. You can paste that in here, and it should load it. I've tested it with newer lists, and it seems to work decently, but I think when I pull older lists that were created, there are sometimes import issues, and that's due to database mismatch. Mine's based on totally just the new CMON outputted data from their S3 data, so anything, he has a historical record, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, so here, let's go ahead and show you this example. Should load it. Let's go ahead and do cavalry tray. Okay, and then boom. Now, I mean, playing Lannister and Stark at the same time. And if you ever run into an issue, you can always just refresh your screen too. Should load back fairly quickly, which sometimes, okay, good, yeah. Okay, so we just have a giant mess here right now, but that's okay. We're just kind of showing you some of the demo and how this works. So next we have game objects, which I already showed you. We also have the control buttons and bindings, which I already showed you with QWASD. Let me make sure there's nothing else that I'm forgetting here as well. Redo, reset, delete, tape measure, right-click menus, and object movement. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. We also have the save and import. We have the right-click, and now finally we have the UI components. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and delete some of these real quick, just to kind of clean up after ourselves. Okay. Oh, keep clicking on the wrong thing. Okay. Next, we have the UI components, so we can select our tactics decks here. So I'll just say I'm Baratheon and Courtney. I'm going to go ahead and load my tactics deck that way. We'll go ahead and shuffle it. It already comes pre-shuffled, but you can shuffle it again if you need to. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw 3 cards. I'm going to go ahead and play one of the cards. And then while you're playing too, you like if you're in the simulator and you don't want to keep the UI open, because this is where you actually come to play the cards. At the bottom here, I put the cards real small and kind of zoom down. So while you're playing, if you're like, oh man, it just kind of helps you to remind you that, oh, you have some cards here. And so when you actually go to play them, you can select on them and it'll pull you right into the menu, and it'll actually give you the associated card here, and then you can go ahead and play them. You can also put them back in your hand. Basically, everything's driven through these buttons. You can put them into play, what's already in play. You can put it in discard. You put it back onto the top of your deck. You can draw it again. You can expand it to the max size screen. You can also put it into the game. Oh, I have to play it first. Then you can put it into the game. For example, the Night's Watch have cards that attach to units. You can also reveal it. So if I clicked reveal, it would show the other player the card. And so we have the card here in play. We can look at it. We can discard it back into our discard pile from the simulator. We can also expand it to kind of look at it. And that's pretty much the tactics deck. Actually, I do want to show one more thing here. All right, and then you can expand too. So if you need to go through the discard, you can click on that expand option and kind of look through what you got here. Same way with the other players too. Outside of that, again, we have mission cards. So pretty straightforward stuff. Again, pretty much the exact same functionality here. You can also put them into play, which I don't know why you would necessarily need to, but maybe there's a game mode for that. I don't know. But that functionality is pretty much the same both ways. And then, oh, and then finally, of course, the big thing is dice. So in this case, if you're in the dice menu here, I'm going to go ahead and from the other player. While in the UI, the other player's mouse shows up as a green cursor, so you can kind of see where they're at. In this case, like let's say we want to do a panic test. Let me go ahead and delete these. So let's say we want to do a panic test. They could add a few dice and select and then roll it here. And then in this case, it would be so the D3 would be the one in gold, and then we would have 2. And in this case, depending on the unit, I maybe failed or maybe I didn't. You can also select, I'll just come back over to the main menu here. So in this case, you can add, subtract, select them all, roll, select them individually and roll. You can also use these options down here at the bottom to select based on the number. So like let's say we actually put a ton into here. So let's say I wanted to get, I hit on a 4+, and so let's go ahead and let's say I rolled 20 dice, which you probably wouldn't, but everything, let's say I hit on a 4+. In this case, I can just come over and select everything below 4+ and delete it, right? Or maybe it was on a charge. So in this case, rolled everything. I get to re-roll everything that I missed because it was a charge, and then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. So that leaves me with 14 dice left over. In addition to that, you can also revert the dice state. So there's a built-in dice state. I think it's up to 20 times. Again, it's not unlimited only because I'm trying to reserve server-side resources, but 20 times should be most what you need for almost every circumstance. Again, the dice themselves are actually also recorded in the log too. So you can see here it's talking about showed all the times that I rewound and each of the times that I re-roll or that I rolled the dice. In addition to that, so let's say I am playing as the other player and the other player's rolling, but I'm still in the simulator, I'm not in the UI. Well, I've already accounted for that. Basically, while you're in the simulator, if they roll something, you can see the D3 and you can see the other 2 dice. So if you don't need to roll a D3, just ignore it. This isn't a D3. You can use it as D3 or not. So in this case, you can see everything that they're rolling. It all gets simulated back to this simulator as addition to what is in the UI, just so that you know you're never going to miss out. And then if for some reason they don't, it should go back to a more a transparent state within 10 seconds, so it's not going to constantly clutter up the screen. Outside of that, I think that's it. So I'm really excited to get this game out there and tested. There's probably going to be bugs and performance tweaks and UI experiences. As I just demoed, there's already a bug with the lock. It'll lock it but not unlock it. But again, you can just right click and lock or unlock using that menu as well too. So I'll check into that and hopefully get that fixed here soon. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm really excited about the project and excited to give more tools to Song of Ice and Fire players. I love this game. You know, nothing beats playing in real life with the miniatures, right? I mean, it's the best way to go. But if you're like me, it's kind of hard to get games in. So I love to get together with friends, but when I can't, this is hopefully going to be another option. Again, there's other options too. TTS, the team over there is excellent. TTS is also exceptional product. You should definitely check it out. This is again just designed for ease of access and for those who don't have it. But hope you enjoy. And if you need any further help, just reach out to me. You can again find more details here in the info. Thanks. Bye.